Some ways that I like to inspire change are to motivate others through positive energy, love, and speaking things into existence. Times are rough, and we all have to make sure that we do our part to contribute to inspiring and to making change happen. So for me, it's bigger than just words, but also action. That's why I dedicate my time and efforts to try and do as much as I can to inspire change in my hometown and all across the globe through action and through positivity, through love, and through togetherness.
I inspire change by connecting with the youth through my foundation, Stewart Standouts, where we provide educational resources. Coming up, we have a leadership series where we will be discussing the state of affairs the country is in, from mental health to social justice.
What do I do to inspire change? What comes to mind for me personally is leading by example. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and you have to ask yourself, am I living the change that I want to see in today's society?
Good afternoon. I'm Jay Harris, and I feel very fortunate to be part of announcing an exciting and timely collaboration. Recent events have demonstrated a great urgency in our nation for more equitable economic and educational opportunities, criminal justice reforms, and improved community relationships with the men and women of law enforcement who are sworn to serve and protect. For African Americans and other communities of color, long-standing barriers to social justice are at the root of such challenges. But change is possible, and it's happening with the help of collaborative efforts like the one we're here to talk about today. It's called Inspire Change. Through Inspire Change, the National Football League unites with the National Urban League, the nation's foremost civil rights organization dedicated to economic empowerment. The unique partnership is part of the NFL's 10-year, $250 million commitment to reducing barriers to social justice. So far, the NFL has contributed more than $70 million. For the Urban League, the NFL support allows for the welcome expansion of the organization's key program goals. This includes counseling services to assist homeowners and renters find and maintain affordable, accessible housing, and urban reentry efforts to help thousands leaving the criminal justice system find employment and successfully reestablish themselves in society. The NFL and the NUL are united in practice and in purpose to inspiring change at all levels, from communities struggling to overcome the economic challenge of the COVID crisis and the history of systemic disenfranchisement to individuals who need and deserve opportunities to move toward equality. There's so much to discover and discuss, so let's get started. Up next, we have an open and detailed discussion of the Inspire Change Initiative and the issues it seeks to address. I'm privileged to introduce the two visionary architects to this historic partnership. Please welcome National Urban League CEO and President Mark H. Morial and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
Good afternoon, Roger. It's great to see you. And on behalf of all of us at the National Urban League, it's great to be part of Team Inspire Change. Now, this initiative holds tremendous potential for both the National Football League and the National Urban League. An opportunity to be effective and to make a difference in the lives of so many Americans. Roger, the Inspire Change Initiative, tell us a little bit about how it began, what its goals are. How should we think about this new initiative?
Well, Mark, Inspire Change is really our comprehensive program to talk about the changes that are needed so badly in our communities and how we are going to work together. That means our players, our clubs, our owners, and work together to effectuate that change. And the focus of Inspire Change in developing that with our players several years ago was really on education. It was on making sure we looked at reform in all of our criminal justice areas. It was about economic advancement, and it was about policing in our communities. And those are really the four pillars that we've been focusing on to inspire that change and to really create change over the long term with this program.
So, Roger, the program I think is fascinating, it's interesting, it's impactful. And it was forged through conversations and relationships between you, the owners, and the players. Talk about that, how it was forged, and why the way in which it was forged is so important to its success.
I give 100% of the credit to our players, Mark. That's where it started. That was the inspiration. That was the guys who were doing the work in their communities and bringing this to us. This is what we care about. It was started in 2014 with several players back in Missouri with, incidents that really, just from our standpoint, we see are happening all too frequently in our communities. To Colin Kaepernick and so many of the other players that began kneeling back in 2017. And really, it was never about patriotism. It was never about the flag. It was, these guys are patriotic and support our military. It was about what was happening in our communities and the things that are going on that we're seeing play out on our screens that a lot of us weren't aware of. I count myself as one of that. The players educated us. The players brought this to us. They said, these are the things that we think we as a league should be working on. And that is what really brought to us to inspire change in the work that we're doing. So they get full credit. I give credit to our ownership and our clubs and our partners for getting behind it and really saying this is something that's important to do.
So, Roger, I think there's a school of thought. I certainly don't embrace and have never embraced that school of thought that football is football and it's a sport, but it's a performance. And there's football over here and there's social issues over here. How do you think about that in America today?
I don't think you can separate that. First off, going back to our players, they're human beings. They're great young men. They have wonderful families. They come from these communities all across our land and different backgrounds. And we have white players and black players and brown players. They come together to play a game, but they care about their communities that they live in. And we're proud of that. Right? And we want to support that because we as the NFL, we're all about communities. We want our communities to thrive, and our teams are a big part of those communities. But you've never been able to break sports and what I would call societal changes. I think that's always been something that's been part of our history. And sports have played a big role over the years in this. And our players are doing that. And that's why I'm so proud of them for not just raising their hand, but Mark, really, and bringing the awareness, but doing the work to really effectuate change.
So Roger, do you think this has been, the last several years have been a pivot point for the National Football League? You've spent your career at the National Football League. It's an iconic American institution. It's a high profile American institution. It represents the heartbeat and it represents the competitive spirit of the nation in many ways. Has the last few years been a pivoting for the league? And talk about that process, right? The pivoting, and what does it hold for the future?
Well, I think it was really started as an educational process, right? When these issues were brought to us, we all realized that this is wrong. This is not what we want in our communities, that we need to end racism. We need to find ways to end oppression. We need to find opportunities and remove barriers. And so that's been important work for us over our history. But I think, we're seeing it in a different light. I think all of us are in society. We came to this several years ago when our players came there. And I've said openly that I wish we had learned and listened earlier because we could have had even more impact. But I think we really are, in the last few years, really making significant changes in our communities. And that's something that I'm proud of. Now, we know this is not going to get, changed overnight. We didn't get here overnight. And we know that this is going to be hard work. And we're doing that hard work. Our players are doing that hard work. They're in the communities. I've been doing ride-alongs to some of our players in Miami a few years ago. I was in your old city of New Orleans, and we went to bail reform hearings and really saw what was going on and the problems and what we need to do to try to address that. Some of it is legislative. Some of it is supporting our NFL Votes initiative, which is another program under Inspire Change that came directly from our players. And as you know, that's how we effectuate change, right? Our vote. We all have one vote, and we need to exercise it. So we're encouraging not just our players and our team personnel and league personnel, we're encouraging the public, our fans, to get out and vote and to make a difference in our communities, and not just on a national basis. Really, as you know, as a mayor of New Orleans, you know that a lot of these issues are really dealt with on a local basis.
States. Yeah, people have to remember.
And you dealt with that when you first came into office, when you were working on policing and crime is, two big issues you were facing. The changes you made as mayor, starting with your chief of police and making the change, those make the difference. And so your local elections are really incredibly valuable, and we need to be doing that on a regular basis.
So Colin Kaepernick, of course, took a big risk, took a knee. There were reactions across the country. Will he play a game?
I don't know, Mark. I've always said, as you probably know, I don't hire players.
Right.
Our 32 teams make that decision, and they don't ask, nor do they listen to the commissioner as it relates to who's going to help them win. Those are decisions that every club's got to do. We did do something at the league level last fall to provide an opportunity for a tryout for Colin, to give him that exposure and to let everyone evaluate. And 26 teams showed up for that, and it was it was an important opportunity. But the reality is that's something that a team is going to have to say he can help us win ultimately. But we've had so many players. We have players who've continued to kneel for those 3 or 4 years that are playing in the league today, and that's always been the case. So, that is something that a lot of our players have continued to take. The stand that they feel
from your perspective, has the fan reaction is important to the league, and how would you characterize the fans' posture today versus what it may have been 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Mark, I think that's a really important point, because I really believe personally, and the frustration we had is that our players were mischaracterized or misrepresented about what they were protesting. I've often said this was not about the flag. This is about what's happening in the communities and bringing attention to that. And, I understand, how people feel about the flag, and I'm one of those. I feel strongly about the flag, but I also respect the right for people to protest. And our players were doing that peacefully, and they were doing it with a very strong message of here's what's happening in our community. And, I think that's an important thing for us. We all as Americans have to try to do what we can to correct things that are wrong.
COVID-19 is a pandemic. It's affected people in a profound way. It's required significant change to the way this season is executed. But also the pandemic has exposed divisions in a tremendous way. Talk a little bit about how COVID-19 has forced you to pivot, but how it even strengthens the responsibility that the league has to try to unite the nation.
Mark, one is we all knew that we had to change. We had to show that we were going to do things differently to operate during a pandemic. And we all came together, and that includes our players who were at the core of this in developing our protocols, our union, our partners, our medical experts. And we really put together what we think are state-of-the-art protocols. They're designed to be able to put us in the best position to keep our personnel safe, both on the field and also our fans. And so we're proud of what we have here, but we know there's a lot of work to do. One, to execute on that, but also to make sure you stay ahead of this. And you can't, because there are times we expect positive tests. We just have to be able to deal with them quickly when we see them. And I think our biggest thing is how people are coming together and uniting to be able to put football on and to do it in a safe way. We're helping it on all levels, the college game, the high school game, and down to the youth level. We're trying to be able to do whatever we can for sports in general, society in general, to show that. And we think that, our game does bring our country together, and they do see that and inspired by that. And that's part of what we're trying to do, and showing people that we can do this safely. It's a lot of work, and it's something that we think is worthwhile for our country right now in particular. And I'm proud of our players and everyone else who came together to make this happen.
We've been talking about quite a few things here, Roger, and the National Football League today. And I think it's important for people to recognize that you are a leader of a significant American institution, but also, I think, a pace setter for American corporations. What would you say to America's corporate leaders about alleviating racial tension and confronting these issues today? What would be your advice, your wisdom, so to speak?
Well, I'm not sure it's wisdom, but I would tell you that I think it's important to have the conversations in your organizations, in your households, frankly, in your communities, and have them openly and honestly, because that's the only way you're going to get to a better understanding of what's going on. It works for us in the sense of understanding better what our players are saying, and that has given us the inspiration to sort of say, we need to participate. We need to support the changes that are necessary. It's not easy to know what those solutions are. And I think a lot of corporate leaders are looking for that. And I think that's, where organizations like yourselves come in, which is how do you help organizations really make the needed changes that I believe everybody in their heart of heart wants. I believe in humanity. I believe people want equality, and I believe people want to respect one another and deal with it that way. And I think that's what we all have to do, is try to work to find solutions and really get to creating that real change that is so necessary.
And this really represents for the National Football League a directional emphasis, a directional acceleration, a directional shift to some extent.
Well, it does, but Mark, it also, we're working with our partners. Just to your point, we have a lot of corporate partners, not on the media, just on the media side, but sponsors and licensees, and we talk to them about this. We share where we are, both internally and where we are with our Inspire Change program, and they're participating. They want to be part of it, and we think that is going to lead to real change going forward.
So the National Football League today, and this is how does the Commissioner's Office really work to alleviate racial issues within the National Football League community?
I think the big thing is to have the conversations, Mark, and to be able to have those openly and honestly. Conversations are happening on a club level. It's happening directly between me and players all the time. They call frequently with ideas and thoughts here. We have programs to educate everyone on, unconscious bias and other areas that we think all of us need to be able to be better educated and better trained in these areas. And really, it's about just having the conversation and being comfortable talking about race and being able to say, these are the things we really need to do to get better. And that's what we want to do. And so I think the NFL is stronger for it. And I think it's a big part of who we are and who we're going to be and make us stronger.
So let's talk about an issue I've been interested in for a long time, and that is Black coaches and minority coaches, in the National Football League, which has been, I think, progress and then retrenchment. How are you thinking about that in a way to get more minority coaching talent, mainly Black, but it's Black and Latino, Ron Rivera, of course, being a great coach, talent into the pipeline? And how are you lifting up the assistants who are there now?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us, Mark, is I don't think there's one specific thing that you do to solve where we want to get to. We're not in a place we want to be in today. So we've done everything by taking our Rooney Rule, which was groundbreaking, and expanding that. So not just you have to look at one minority candidate, you have to look at two. We're expanding it into the general manager's marks. We in this office, in the league office, do that across the entire spectrum. So everybody, we inspire that, and we make sure that the Rooney Rule is met and exceeded. And so that's one. Two is, and I think we probably spent more time with our diversity and inclusion committee this year than we ever have on other changes, including creating more mobility for our coaches. So if a minority coach is on one team and they're under contract, if they have a chance to upgrade, we're going to release them from that contract to be able to take that opportunity. As you know, our teams are competitive, and this is about winning football. We're training our minority coaches and giving them, instructions and other aspects on everything from how to interview and what to prepare for. They are great coaches. They know football, and they know the job, and they know what to do. We just want to try to help support them in making the best case they possibly can.
And one last question, and it's back to Inspire Change. And the National Football League's made a substantial commitment of dollars to this. We certainly appreciate the partnership with the National Urban League in the areas of re-entry and home ownership. What outcomes are you looking for?
Real change. Mark, for us, it's beyond the dollars. It's obviously the dollars are necessary to fund organizations like the Urban League and allowing them to do the important work they do. One of the things we're really excited about the $2 million grant that we're giving you is it actually takes those 4 pillars we talked about earlier and on the re-entry population, work all of that together, right? It's about economic advancement by giving people opportunity and to be able to let them stand on their own 2 feet. It's about education. It's about criminal justice system and making sure people get out of the system and get back into society. It's about policing and making sure that we have a relationship with our communities and our police that's a positive thing, because we support our police. We don't support bad policing, but we support our police, and it's an important thing in our communities. So I think all of those things come together really well with our relationship with the National Urban League, and I think those are things that we're excited about doing, but we want to see results ultimately.
Yeah. And look, Roger, I tell you, our reentry program, whenever I visit our reentry program, whether it's in New Orleans or in St. Louis or in Chicago, what I am always just so inspired by is the talented people who may have fallen down at some point or slipped at some point, but are doing incredible things. In Chicago, a young man with a landscaping business. In New Orleans, I met a woman who's on her way to graduate school after going through undergraduate school as a member of our reentry program. In St. Louis, I just had a long conversation with one of the graduates of our reentry work, and he was talking to me about all the job opportunities in the logistics and trucking business out in St. Louis. And so at some point, I really want to bring some of those folks to the National Football League, to a Super Bowl, to a game. Let them meet you. Give you and the players and the staff a chance to really meet the people whose lives you're changing. And that is, I think, an important part of what we do. So we're excited because we're going to do great work. We're going to save lives. We're going to help people become homeowners. We're going to continue to do the work that we do. So I want to thank you for your leadership and the league's leadership. I think it's an important step. And I want to encourage you to continue to do more. Continue to lean in as heavily as you can. We're at that time in American history where leaders at every single level have to meet this moment and recognize that this is a moment to truly, truly transform this country in a equitable and fair and better way. So thank you for the National Football League's partnership, and Roger, for your years of partnership and friendship.
Well, Mark, you couldn't have said it better. And with your leadership, we are proud to support you and know that you will have that impact. And we know that we are going to have to do more. I think our ownership stepped up again this summer to increase their commitment, and including a 10-year commitment. So for us, we know that this is something that we're all going to have to work on for the long term. But we also know it's worthwhile and it's important, and we can and we should make this change.
So let me just say, long live the National Football League, but I will be a New Orleans Saints fan till the day I die.
I would be disappointed to hear anything else from you, Mark, but we also know those Saints fans, they're awesome.
All right.
What do I do to inspire change? I focus on one thing: selflessness. God didn't put us here to be about self. He put us here to take care of one another. God said, love your neighbor as yourself. So what I try and do is make everybody around me know and feel special.
In Atlanta, the National Urban League inspires change. In Chicago, we inspire change. In Jacksonville, Philadelphia, New Orleans, in communities across the country, the National Urban League works to change lives, change communities for the better. Since 2009, the National Urban League's signature comprehensive housing counseling program has assisted more than 260,000 homeowners and renters in distress, enabling them to stay in their homes and maintain the stability of their neighborhoods.
Our clients generally cannot afford the rents and the mortgages, and so we're having to struggle along with them to help them find the resources that are needed in order for them to have safe, affordable housing opportunities.
Thurston and Yolanda Burgess attended one of our first-time homebuyers workshops in 2019 and subsequently a one-on-one with a finance coach. The result was an action plan to improve their credit scores, pay off hospital debt, and rein in spending. Within 6 months, they were homeowners.
Oh, we feel empowered. We feel inspired. We also feel that now we're not only making an impact in neighborhoods and in society, we are inspiration to our other friends and married couples and even our children that this is a dream that can be achieved.
They closed in May of this year. That's what our counselors do: help families level the economic playing field and achieve home security in difficult times.
That we would not be homeowners if it wasn't for the Urban League's first-time home buyer workshops, because we had no knowledge of the resources and networks, that were available to us to help us along the way.
The NFL partnership will also support the expansion of the Urban League's Urban Reentry Jobs program, which provides the formerly incarcerated with necessary skills and training to re-enter the job market, earn a livable wage, and potentially forge new careers.
Wendell Robinson served 25 years in prison for a crime he committed at age 17. He did his best to educate himself while incarcerated, but had no access to computers. He did, however, hear about the Chicago Urban League and that it helped former inmates on the outside. Once released, he joined the league's workforce development program, learned computer skills.
Going through these programs, knowing that I can do it, knowing that there's people that's at the National Urban League that really care, that want you to succeed. I mean, it's like these people they did so much for me. I mean, if it was help with transportation, help with, something to eat, I mean, they did all this for me. So it's like that alone gives you a sense of self-worth. So it's kind of like an extended family.
And today works as a project manager at Restore Justice, an organization that advocates for fairness in the criminal justice system.
This program is important to me because it assisted me. It believed in me. The National Urban League Reentry Program is extremely important to me.
Urban Reentry gave Wendell a chance at a new life. Indeed, the program is consistently successful at changing lives for the better. 95% of participants do not return to prison.
You could just see the young men, the middle-aged men, and the older men that come into this program. They are learning new skills, they're learning new competencies, they're learning how to rethink. They feel valued and come back into society in a meaningful way. The NFL has allowed us in their partnership to inspire change here in Philadelphia. We are able to put our individuals who have been incarcerated on a pathway to economic and social mobility.
The Urban League's Youth Empowerment Program initially focused on young people ages 16 to 24 who have also had involvement with the criminal justice system. It has since expanded to serve youth more broadly. To date, the program has made a difference in the lives of more than 700 participants, providing career readiness workshops, job training and placement, educational interventions, and other support services. The effort has scored significant success. 2 in 3 participants aged 18 and older entered employment. 43% earned a GED, HDS, or some industry-recognized certification.
I do believe that having an organization like the National Urban League focused on re-entry is critical. We know that many people, particularly African Americans, have been penalized by our country's criminal justice system. So having a program in place that it can then offer to affiliates across the country to make sure that the work is being done on the ground, that affiliates of the National Urban League have the resources that are needed, so that again, when that individual is getting ready to return home, that there is a plan. It's all about having a blueprint and a plan in place so that that individual does not have to return to some of the choices that had to be made in the first place that caused them to be in prison in many instances. So having a national organization, particularly with the power of the brand of the National Urban League and the history of the National Urban League, to be able to do the national work that then allows those of us at the local level to be able to touch those individuals one by one, as many as we can, is really important to the nation's issue of recidivism and appropriately dealing with returning citizens, no matter where they are in the United States.
The National Urban League inspires change in neighborhoods everywhere. With the support and collaboration of the NFL, we look forward to significantly expanding our reach and impact. Here to discuss the impact and importance of the Inspire Change Initiative, we're excited that they're able to join us. We have Nancy Flake Johnson, president of the Urban League of Greater Atlanta. Nancy, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jay.
And Rashida McCoy, a former Urban League housing client from Philadelphia. She has an inspiring success story to share with us. Welcome, Rashida, but I know you like to be called Sheeta, so you're Sheeta to me, okay?
Hi, how are you guys?
Excellent, excellent. All right, Nancy, let's start with you. What will the increase in funding mean for the National Urban League programs at the affiliate level?
We are so inundated with community needs right now. It means everything, really. It means everything. Right now, our phone lines are constantly jumping with families that are really struggling to hold on right now. People are starting to get back to work, but that window between March and July, when there was really nothing much anyone could do who has a service-oriented, front-facing, employment, they fell 3, 4, 5, now 6 months behind in rent and mortgage payments. And so we're really averting a crisis, and these resources will help us help additional families that need it the most right now.
What can you tell us specifically about the programs directly affected by this new partnership?
So in addition to a lot of families struggling, it's been a really interesting time because it's also a time when interest rates are very low and people are buying homes as well. So, we do work really hard to keep people focused on the future and moving forward. And so we have some clients who've really been able to maintain and keep moving forward. They were preparing to buy a home when COVID hit, and many of them have been able to continue that. This partnership with the NFL, the portion for housing, allows us to help those families with a portion of their down payment. And, any assistance you can get with down payment either lowers your payment or leaves residual cash for that family so they can get some of the other things they need when you move into a new home.
Okay, Sheeta, I want you to jump in. How'd you first learn of this program?
Through a relative. A relative of mine went through the process, and it took her about 2 years because she had to get her credit and everything together. And she finally succeeded in purchasing a home. So she told me about the program, and that's how I got started.
What was your process like?
Oh, my process. So it took me about 1.5 years. I got tired of renting. I was renting an apartment. I had an issue with my landlord, and I said, I can't do this no more. I have a child now. I adopted my niece, and I needed to provide stability. So I followed through. My cousin went with me to the Urban League down to the city, and she told me I signed up for the classes, and that's how I started out. And the support system that was provided was phenomenal. I wouldn't have gotten this far without the support of their team. I'm so happy. I really am about to cry right now because I'm so happy that I accomplished my dream.
I don't want to make you cry, but
I'm crying too.
but I mean, it's such a good story. What does homeownership feel like?
Whew, it feels good to own a home. I don't have to worry about a landlord. I don't have to worry about constantly nagging my landlord to fix things and to do things the right way. I don't have to worry about right now issues. I'm in my house right now as we speak, and I love it. My daughter loves it. I don't know. I'm still overwhelmed with joy because I purchased this home in April, and I came a long way from getting my credit together, working 2 jobs, and trying to stay focused.
Incredible.
I love it. Nancy, you're in Atlanta. What can you tell us about the housing market there and how it's been affected by the pandemic?
So, I say it's a tale of 2 cities here in Atlanta. On the one hand, there are people whose jobs can be done from home, whose income remains steady, and who many of them were on a path to home ownership. And just as Sheeta mentioned, this is a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to learn about the process, right, Rashida? The workshop that
I learned a lot. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I learned a lot because it was things that I didn't really know. A lot of family members and friends or coworkers, they was like, well, you should just go get a house. You should buy this, you should do that. But nobody really told me the steps and the process that it takes. And my housing counselor, Danielle, she was there with me throughout the whole process, giving me advice and telling me what I should do. And going through those classes, I really learned everything that I needed to know because I thought I would have to go to like a different class or something like that to get this to be where I'm at right now.
Well, that's the best thing about the kind of support that Urban League provides. The workshop is HUD certified. So we teach people how to prepare to become a homeowner. And as Sheeta indicated, that's a combination of factors. You've got to have income, you've got to have a good credit score, and you've got to have a down payment, right? And then it's a matter of where do you want to live? And one of the things home ownership offers us, in many cases, you can find a stable neighborhood, right? Where, especially if you have school-age children, you're going to be looking into what's the school system like where I want to live. And so it just brings that more community feel. It's so much better. Our children get to have play spaces. So there's a lot of factors there. What I love about our process, it's education and it's coaching. And that's what Sheeta said. We have HUD certified housing counselors. They know all the ins and outs. We can take a person who has very poor credit today, maybe not the income yet, but that's what Urban League is all about. We've got workforce programs to help uptick your income. We've got financial literacy classes to help teach you how to manage your money. And we can help you understand where the money is being made and to even start your own business. So we've got that 360 through at Urban League of Greater Atlanta, our Financial Empowerment Center. And so we're here to help make people's dreams come true, even in the middle of the pandemic. On the flip side, please know, for all the thousands of people, disproportionately Black people, who have lost their jobs, who may not be able to work from home, have to stay home for homeschooling purposes, virtual learning, it's a struggle. People have fallen behind. And even though many are back at work, catching up is going to be impossible. So we're really trying to work with landlords to renegotiate, waive fees, work with us to keep families together and in their homes.
Sheeta, how is this program helping you overall achieve your particular life goals that you were looking at?
I always set goals for myself, and owning a home was the top of the list. So going through the workshop, learning financial literacy and everything like that, I didn't understand or know, and now I know. So it's like, now that I have this house, I know what to do to keep it. It's more stuff that I want to accomplish. I still want to, there's some tweaking I have to do to the house, but overall I love it. So I'm just so overwhelmed with joy that I had the opportunity to partake in the workshop and everything like that and made it this far.
What's the best lesson you think you've learned in this process?
The best lesson is to make sure you have everything lined up, so that way I had to prepare myself because my credit wasn't all that. I had to get my credit at the level that's supposed to be. And then my credit score, when I first started out, my credit score was a 530. So I had student loans on my credit report. I had a credit card, and then I still had to build credit. So I had to work through those things and to build my credit score up to a 650. And once I got to a 650, that's when everything started falling into place of the things that needs to be done. And I was able to search for homes. That process, looking at houses, I looked at houses it was 10 a day until I found the right house.
Wait, 10 houses a day. How many days?
I would say about 4 days out of the week. I was looking at 10 houses.
That's 40 houses
a week. And it took me about 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm very specific about things. So it's like, and then like I kept getting roadblocks. So it was like, all right, I found the house, but then something came along to where I couldn't get it. And so I had to just work harder.
What kind of roadblocks did you stumble upon?
With the owner, they either it was the owner issues, it was with the reports, the housing report, Like they didn't want to fix certain things.
Inspection report.
Inspection report.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
They
no,
didn't
I
want to
get it.
they didn't want to fix certain things, and then like FHA guidelines. So it was a lot.
Yep, but you made it through, and
Made it.
you're a great
I
example
made it.
for people. You can start with a 500 plus credit score, and within a year and a half, 2 years, you can be a homeowner. And from there, you're going to just build and grow. And Urban League's going to be here for you all throughout your future when you're ready for your next home, or you're ready to advance your career, or your daughter is going to grow up and want to go to college, and we're going to help her do that. And so we're here for you for your lifetime.
And I appreciate it. I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to be a participant in this program. I don't know where I would. I don't think I would have a house right now if I wouldn't have been a participant. Honestly, I think I probably still be renting a house right now, going through issues with landlords.
Now you're going to build wealth.
Yes, I have to. I have to build generational wealth for my daughter. Like I said, my daughter, I'm adopted, so it's very. I had to provide stability. It was no way. I couldn't just keep renting. I wanted to provide something better for my daughter.
That's the best motivation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Nancy, Sheeta is someone who went from using the program to go from renting to owning her home. What about folks, dealing with this pandemic in a home, losing a job, furlough, whatever, in danger of losing their home?
Yes.
Take us through how we can help those people too.
So again, we have HUD certified housing counselors. They're not only trained in pre-purchase support, how to help you get, but to sustain home ownership. So we know all of the different options that if you're going to miss even one payment, you should immediately contact your Urban League or another HUD certified housing counseling agency, and we can sit down and understand your particular circumstances and map all the options. That's critical. And communicating with your mortgage lender is critical. Keeping those lines of communication open, because at the end of the day, they don't want to take your home. They want you to stay in it. So we sit down and we assess that. We know the options. So one of the options that has worked really well for many people is many of the mortgage companies are allowing families to take the 3 months or 4 months they're behind, and rather than do what's called a forbearance and say, well, we'll put it off for so many months, while every month it goes up, and gets bigger and bigger. If you're still not working, 3-4 months from now, you're not going to be able to pay a double amount if you can't pay this amount here. So the important thing is that we find out, can we put those payments at the back of the loan? So you live for these 3 months, that gets pushed to the end, gives you breathing room, and we help people get rapidly reemployed and keep things going. Many times we have to combine resources. So Urban League of Greater Atlanta was just awarded $1.4 million by the City of Atlanta for rental assistance, and Black Entertainment Television donated almost $400,000 to us to help with mortgage assistance, rental assistance, no matter where a person lives. So vet out, look up, get on your phones, Google rental assistance, mortgage assistance. I don't care where you live. There is something going on that can help you. So be aggressive, be patient, but persistent. That's really key.
Nancy, when we get into situations and we have problems, sometimes we feel like we're all alone, and I don't really want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to try and dig myself out of this by myself. What do you say? Maybe a little proud to make that contact.
I say it is so critical to reach out for help, and just know you're not alone, especially in this pandemic. Millions of people are challenged. There's no fear. Have no fears. We're confidential. We'll keep your information confidential. And it was really about meeting you where you are, figuring out what's happening with you, and helping you with all the basics you need, whether it's food, whether it's household items, personal hygiene. I just talked to a mother, wife today with 3 young children, and she needs help with the internet bill because her children are virtually learning, and she and her husband are just getting back on their feet. They're several months behind. They have no family in Georgia and really no place they can go. They don't want to give up their home. And so we're going to just fight with them and negotiate with our partners through the financial institutions, the mortgage companies. And we have to all give up something and work together to come together so that we can keep people in their homes. It's very, very critical. You've probably heard the phrase, we're at, what is it called? Depression level. We could be heading there. We're there in Atlanta and the metro area. It's quiet, but it's very tragic right now. So our job is to keep people encouraged, help them get back to work, keep their hopes up, their options open, be flexible. Things won't necessarily be as they were, but we'll make sure you're safe and you're in a clean and safe environment, and support you to get back on your feet.
Sheeta, I want to go back to you for a second. Going from an apartment to a house, when your friends pop by, what's their reaction?
I haven't really invited people over yet. I'm still trying to get the house together.
Okay, I understand that totally.
Yeah.
Plus,
but
it's a pandemic.
Certain family members have came over, and like they are overwhelmed with joy with me. It's like every time somebody come over, they like, oh my gosh, you did it, you accomplished your goal. And it's like every time somebody comes over and we talk about it, I always cry because this is like my ultimate goal. Like, I did it.
You did it. You put your mind to it and you did it. And you're going to be an example for so many others, your family, your friends, and anyone that gets to view this. I'm just so excited for you myself.
Nancy, as we get ready to wrap up this conversation, I want to do a little recap. 3 tips for home ownership that you could pass on to the folks listening and watching.
So first and foremost, in preparing to buy a home, plug into your Urban League or another housing counseling agency. Take the workshop. It's full day. You'll get a certificate. Here in Georgia, as it probably is in Philly and other states, that certificate can qualify you for down payment assistance as little as $5,000 and as much as $20,000 or more by combining programs. And coming off the pandemic, there'll probably be a lot of incentives. Get your education first. Next, sit down with a counselor, pull your credit score, and work diligently in understanding how credit is maintained. So it's not just a matter of get it up so I can buy the house and then fall back into your former habits or ways that you were managing money. You want to keep it that way. If you have a 700 or better score and income, you can almost do anything you want to do. And then I would say thirdly, just condition yourself to begin to save. We've got to save money, right? Decrease debt, save money, manage your credit. Those are probably the 3 key things for purchasing. And if you're struggling with rent, reach out to your United Way, your Urban League. We're here to help.
Sheeta, you are the success story in this conversation. So one last word of encouragement that you would give folks who were in your situation, see what you have done and want to do what you have done. What would you tell them?
Don't give up. If this is your goal that you want to accomplish, don't give up. Keep pushing until it happens. And listen to your counselor, because they won't steer you wrong. They're there for you to guide you, and they're there every step of the way, even after you purchase your home. So you don't have nothing to worry or fear. They have your back.
She's got it. She's got it. She got the whole program. We're here for her. If something happens a year from now, something may happen. She may miss a payment. She can come to us and we'll help her work it through.
Ladies, thank you so much, Nancy, Sheeta, for telling how to get involved with the program. Sheeta, your experience going through the program, seeing the difference that this initiative has made in your lives, because both of you are beaming from different sides of this, from going through it and for helping the Urban League, reaching hundreds of thousands of lives and changing lives. We appreciate your stories, and we appreciate you telling us exactly what to do, how to do, and how folks will be with you every step of the way. So thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What an amazing story of home ownership. The NFL partnership also supports the expansion of the Urban League's Urban Reentry Jobs Program. And for our final panel, we will delve into how important this program is. Joining us for this panel is Karen Freeman Wilson, President and CEO of the Chicago Urban League. Karen, good to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
And Michael Vick, who played 13 years in the NFL for the Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Jets, and Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the #1 overall pick by the Atlanta Falcons in the 2001 NFL Draft. Currently a Fox NFL studio analyst and also director of the nonprofit Michael Vick Foundation, which supports at-risk youth. Greetings to you, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Karen, let's jump in with you. Specifically, which programs are directly affected by this new partnership?
We are so grateful for the new partnership with the NFL. They have supported our workforce development and our housing. As it relates to workforce development, we are specifically focused on those citizens who are returning to our community after being incarcerated. We are also focused on some of our young people who may have made some difficult decisions in the past and find themselves returning from the juvenile justice system.
What will the increase in funding mean for these particular programs?
The increase in funding will allow us to really provide the support that they need. So often people focus on a job, and while a job is extremely important, there are supportive services around transportation, around just being job ready, around also maintaining a job, mentoring. All of those things go into ensuring not only getting a job, but being successful in keeping that job.
Michael, I want to bring you in. Reentry and managing the transition after incarceration are significant parts of the Inspire Change initiative. As one who's had that experience, tell us about the difficulties you had as you were re-entering the greater society.
I think the most difficult thing for me, a guy who had to experience it, was just being true to what you believed in. And I think, in essence, everything that you thought you was doing right, or the way you viewed the world, sometimes just it wasn't ideal. So moving forward and having that opportunity to do it again in re-entry, it was about not, first and foremost, disappointing myself after putting together a string of goals and beliefs that I was able to develop while spending days in prison. But the people who was there for me and the people who wanted to help me and help me reach greater heights, I felt a sense of responsibility to them. So in your reentry, you got to be committed to a lot of things, yourself and the people who are allowing you to be re-entered. And that was my primary focus. So the difficulty, I knew was going to be just me staying the course and not deviating and staying patient and not getting away from, the things that I believed in at that moment, and still to this day. So, it's an unbelievable amount of responsibility and an immense amount of pressure. But I think that's what, helps you build your character. And people on the outside looking in will be watching as they give you an opportunity. And I knew that was the case with me. So for me, it was Andy Reid and Tony Dungy, and you know, it was my agent, it was my family. So I had a sense of responsibility to them as well that I had to uphold. So that's where the pressure lied, and I appreciated that part because I felt I held myself accountable.
What specifically did you have to change about yourself to help you alter your focus to move forward?
For sure, number one, my surroundings and the people who I always thought had my best interests at heart. Some did, some didn't. I just felt like we was going about it the wrong way. And the people who needed to be lending the open ear or lending advice, they was kind of put on the back burner. And it set me back tremendously. The focus was to really try to, do things on my own and, not include a bunch of people. I felt like I was capable and competent enough to, fight the fight because I was the one who had to live it. So changing my surroundings was difficult. The people who you grew up with and you felt like you owed a sense of responsibility to, that really wasn't realistic. So I had to realize that and then kind of trim the fat and get everybody out the way.
You mentioned Tony Dungy, you mentioned Andy Reid, having those people in your lives to help you move forward, to seek those mentors. What did they specifically do for you that you couldn't do for yourself?
Held me accountable. If you look at the first 6 years of my career, nobody held me accountable. I had the most money, I had the most fame, and I kind of rode that wave. Coming back around, it was starting from ground zero. So I had these people who had went out on a limb for me and laid it all out on the line. You're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the flagship organizations in the National Football League, sticking their neck out for me. And, like I said earlier, the pressure was doing everything the right way. And I had set goals and, they were beyond my standards, but I knew they could be achieved. And that's why I set them high. But the only reason I could set them high was because I knew that I had to walk that path of righteousness and doing it the right way. And Andy and Tony and Roger, they was all there to watch me every step of the way. So it wasn't an easy journey, but I had them helping me every step of the way and, giving me that vote of confidence, which was very important.
Karen, as we listen to Mike's story, could you expound on the value of programs like the Urban Reentry Program for people who survived and are trying to get out of the criminal justice system like Mike did?
I would say that it's priceless. And I say that because when you listen to Mike describe his support system, he will tell you how valuable it was. There are so many people in our community who don't have that advantage. They don't have people who are willing to help them be accountable or who are willing to hold them accountable. They don't have even stable housing. They certainly don't have transportation. They are working to rebuild relationships that have been severed for a variety of reasons. And so for us to have the resources to help walk our clients, our citizens through this process really means a lot to them. It means a lot to the league, but it also inures to the benefit of society, because for every person who is successful, who becomes a member of their child's support system, that means that there is one less person that you have to support in the future.
There's a youth program and an adult program. Karen, what are the differences?
Well, the differences are where that person is in the process of their life. If you get a youth early, if you're able to intervene early, then you can ensure that they're not involved in recidivism and involved in this cycle. Of course, if you get an adult, then you are able to help them rebuild. But be clear, it's a rebuilding process that somehow is a lot more challenging than if you're able to get a young person after one bad decision versus intervening with an adult after a series of bad decisions.
And the program has been pretty successful. How do you explain the success, Karen?
You explain the success because it has been comprehensive. You're not just saying, hey, look, you got a job, you should be happy, and we're going to leave you there. What we're saying is getting a job is just one aspect of this. You have to prepare for getting a job. You have to then prepare for maintaining that job. You have to then look at what are your next steps. We know that housing is important, right? So now that you have a job, let's plan on your first home. Let's plan on how you show up to your family, to your children, to your significant other. All of those come with this program, and that's what ultimately makes it successful for the individual, but it also makes it successful for the league.
Mike, I would imagine with your experience says people come to you asking for help, mentorship, advice. What do you tell them?
I got to reflect on what Karen said. It's really up to that individual. Just because, you know, you are put in a position where you can somehow succeed, it's about maintaining that. And people come to me all the time, like, how did you do it? It's an amazing story. It's hard for me to look at it that way, because I knew the story that I was creating when I was creating it, you know, if that makes sense. And I knew right from wrong and the do's and the don'ts, and, you know, I still carried out those acts. So when I look back at it, you know, and people will say, you know, how did you do it? I had no choice. You know, the people I cared about mattered the most. That was family. And I owed it to them to make it all right. And I owed it to myself. I had did so much to try to put myself in a position where I had some form of success in my life. And then, you know, it was all taken away. So I always just felt like I was trying to play catch up or make up. And you know, to the outside, the story looks amazing. To me, it's like, it's just the beginning. Every day, it's a new beginning. So I look at it in that sense, and that's me holding myself accountable for my day-to-day actions and wanting to do it better and have more understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding each and every day. But that comes with a tremendous amount of focus. So when people come to me asking me how I did it, I pretty much say, look, every day is a new day. And every day brings different challenges. I got to be able to conquer those challenges and feel good about it when I lay down at night.
When you have someone coming to you or a representative saying, I got this person who's getting out real soon, I want you to tell them one or two specific things that kind of ease the transition, what would you tell them?
They know the people that really love you and take their advice, not just with a grain of salt. Take it and use it effectively and use it correctly. Because if you don't, and when you feel like you have to do it all on your own, that's when things just get out of whack and get misconstrued mentally. So, you know, lean on the people who really care for you. And some people don't. Some people don't have family, you know, and I think that's when, you know, it becomes a different battle. But at the same time, you got people like Karen and all these different charities and programs and people who can help you. And those are the people that you lean on. Those are the people who allow you to have that reentry and a successful reentry. That's what it's all about. We're not wasting time. We really care. And, you know, it speaks volume.
Karen, this partnership with the NFL, because, you know, money drives things. What is the increase in funding? What does it do for programs at the affiliate level for you?
The increase in funding received from the NFL certainly allows us to do more, to provide more support, to provide more mentoring, to just get bus passes, which seems like a very small thing, but could be huge for someone who's looking to get to work every day. But the other thing that I would say beyond the dollars and cents with the NFL it's the credibility of having a partnership with the NFL that then allows us to say to other organizations, hey, you know what? The NFL has stepped up. Will you join them in stepping up to support the league? Because at the end of the day, it is so important that these programs continue. You can't start and stop because it's too critical to the success of these individuals for us to say, we're sorry, we can't continue this program because the money ran out.
Michael, piggyback on that. Being an NFL alum and seeing what it's doing with the Urban League, how important is this partnership?
First of all, it's an amazing partnership. The NFL has done a great job in creating partnerships with so many other entities to ensure that the development and the growth of our country is in a good state, the best way that they can. They can't solve every problem, but they can always step up and be at the forefront. And I think that's what the NFL has done. That's why I'm so proud of the league and so happy to take part in any form of charitable opportunities that I can through the NFL because I see the strides that they're making. I see them just putting their foot down and leaving their footprints in a situation where they really didn't have to. And, I think other major companies and corporations should pay close attention. We're looking for change and we're striving for change and asking people to make change where you got to be a part of it. So the NFL has stepped up big and what greater platform that these organizations have to say, this company stepped up, this corporation stepped up, the NFL is behind us, you do the same. It's going to take a collective effort from everybody, all parties involved, to continue to try to strive and make America great again. And it's because of programs like this, the National Urban League, and so on and so forth, that we can make these changes happen. If not, what do we live for? What's the reasoning for doing the positive things that we do? What's the reason for playing in NFL or running a major organization? You got to give back. You got to reach back in and bring somebody with you.
That's a perfect segue. I think you're reading my mind because I want to go into your foundation that you created for at-risk youth. Why was it important for you to do that?
It was very important because I was an at-risk youth. I struggled in my community at times just because of the environment that I was in. And, I always wanted change. I always wanted something different. I always aspired to be different in my own right. And, just having those struggles just really motivated me. So, I always try to look back at my community now and where I grew up and, try to figure out ways to make it better, what to make these kids comfortable, what to give them safe havens and sanctuaries where they can feel good about, day-to-day life. They go to school for 8 hours a day, they come home and there's still another 5 or 6 hours left in the day. How do you use that time constructively? And I try to be a part of the Boys and Girls Club of America, try to renovate and, continue to open up teen centers and help them, just have a place where it's comfortable for them and they can function and they can think and feel safe. So that's a responsibility that I've taken on and it's something that I continue to do for the rest of my life.
What are these young kids dealing with these days?
First of all, it's poverty. It's poverty that drives crime. It's poverty that drives irrational thinking. And it's unfortunate because they're stuck in situations that they have no control over and they're kind of born into it. And you look at your surroundings and you look at, the things around you and there's really nothing there. You have to be really strong. You have to create the dream, so to speak, of getting out of where, you're coming from or where you at. So it's just not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy task. And, you just don't want to be a product of your environment, but it's like you have no choice. You have nowhere to go or nowhere to turn to. And it usually leads to all sorts of degrees of difficulty in the person's thinking. I think So, you know, I put myself in their shoes and their situation, and it's, for me, it's not about, you know, what I've been able to obtain in life. You know, it's about how much I can give now, how many people I can help, how many kids that I can help uplift, help them dream a dream, help them see life different, create visions and goals. And, you know, it's not about, you know, where you come from, it's about where you're headed. And that's going to be the mantra from here on out.
Karen, what changes do you see in young folks who get involved with the initiative?
What we see is that they are able to see themselves in a different place. One of the challenges that they have consistently, and Mike hit the nail on the head, is that they are confronted daily with poverty, and at the same time, they're confronted with media displays of extreme wealth. The videos that they see, YouTube, you know, everybody has a large house, multiple cars, all of the clothes. And so, yeah. And so the question then becomes, how do you get there from here? And this program may not get you to the 10,000 square foot mansion, but it may, but it at least allows you to create a plan of action for yourself.
Michael, I want to go back to you as we begin to close. Share with those watching how parents can assist in keeping their kids out of the criminal justice system and keep them focused on the right path.
You know, I think as a parent, regardless of where you are, whether you live in a big house or, I'm just going to be frank, if you live in, you know, a poverty-stricken area, and that was my mom, that was my family pretty much. My mom was very stern. She knew what she wanted out of us. She seen the potential in us, and by her seeing the potential in me, I seen the potential in myself, my brother and my two sisters. And, you know, that was the vote of confidence. Her confidence came, you know, through, you know, her being, you know, stern and being direct and being willing to challenge us if she felt that we wasn't, you know, going about life the right way. She always monitored us close. And even though we didn't have everything, she wanted to know what was in my pocket, how much money I had, what was I doing, why did I stay out to, you know, 9:30 as opposed to 8:30. And her approach was just different. So, you know, I seen my mom come through that type of upbringing, you know, having kids early, 15 to 16, and still staying the course, not losing focus, and just trying to be one of many to survive those circumstances. And she did everything that she could. And, you know, I watched her, you know, single-handedly raise us and get the most out of us. And I'm proud of myself because I feel like a lot of the direction I got in life and where I'm headed now is because of her. So she did it, and she was strong in doing it. And, you know, I just got to pay my respects to her. So, you know, regardless of what type of household you grew up in, where it's at, big house, poverty stricken, you can make it. So don't be discouraged, you know, just be patient.
I think that's a great place to leave it. Great conversation. Karen, Michael, thank you so much. It's a great initiative. It is building lives. It's shaping lives. We're inspiring change, and that's a great thing. Thank you guys again.
You have to ask yourself, am I living the change that I want to see in today's society? You never know who's watching you, whether it's your kids, you know, your family, teammates, coworkers, peers, whoever it is, wherever it is. If you're living that change that you want to see in this world, it may be easier for someone to follow and know that's the way it could be done. And, you know, change happens in many different ways, but sometimes it's not always a outspoken thing. Sometimes it may be a visual thing. But if we can lead by example and we can live that change that we want to see in today's society, you know, I think a lot can change.
And that concludes our program. I want to thank Commissioner Goodell, the National Football League, and the Urban League affiliate staff and special guests who participated today. Now, we came together with one purpose: to inspire change for communities of color across this nation. Change is absolutely necessary to get this nation to equal and to overcome the challenges and divisions that keep all of us from achieving our potential as a nation. Now, here's the good news. It's that we're doing the work in cities, in townships, and in neighborhoods to move us forward. And with the partnership with the National Football League, we will replicate that success in more communities. And now, we can't wait to get started. So thank you for your attention. And I invite you to join the movement and inspire change.
Thank you, Mark. Let's all inspire change.